Hello, good morning. You're watching Plus TV Africa. I am Ify Aronu and this is Off the Press. Sincere apologies for bringing you the show a bit behind schedule, but then we'll make up for lost time. On Off the Press today, we're going to take a look at national dailies for today and the news stories making the front pages. I am joined this morning by a public affairs analyst, Ikechukwu Ibeji. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Okay, let us get to it. We will be starting with ThisDay newspaper for today. Of course, today is the 4th of February, 2019. And on the front page of the front cover of ThisDay, we have FG, opposition parties working to undermine general election. That is the cover story on the paper. And of course, below that, we have CCT, orders Onoren to appear for trial February 13. Above the masthead, we have the story, despite growth promise, power supply averages 3,952 megawatts. Well, that's above the masthead of ThisDay. And below that, we have at 947 billion naira, Nigeria's non-oil revenue drops by 17%. To the bottom of the page, we have appeal court gives Rivers APC a reprieve, and that's also on page 6. Just to correct what I mentioned earlier, today is Tuesday, 5th of February, 2019. Now, to you now, Ikechukwu, can you comment what story catches your attention?
I think for me, the one that screams is the banner headline, that the one that says FG talking about opposition parties, because this is a political season, barely 2 weeks to the general elections, and everybody's very interested in who becomes the next president or who becomes a House of Assembly member and all that. So this is a time when parties, various parties, especially the two leading parties, are going to come out with different kinds of talk, different kinds of sentiments to try to sway votes as much as possible. And that is exactly what I think is playing out in this particular comment about FG talking about the opposition parties.
Okay, and we'll hope to see that things get better in the political space, though, but we have to move on swiftly. We now have the Vanguard newspaper for today. And the major headline on the front cover of the Vanguard this morning is 71 ex-generals endorse Buhari's re-election. Of course, we know it's an era of endorsements. And we've got the writers: as an officer and a gentleman, his word is his bond. No general worth his rank will endorse Buhari, and that's credited to the opposition party, the PDP. And then INEC dismisses PDP's rigging allegations. Above the masthead, we have assets declaration charge. Onoren must be arraigned. CCT boss insists. That's on page 9. And close to that, we have alleged fraud. It's painful, testifying against Fayose. And that's credited to Abani Koro. And then also we have how insurance coys abuse third-party motor insurance. Find that on page 27. And to the bottom of the page, agencies still diverting government revenue, and that's credited to President Buhari. Crack in Pandef as Abekoya denies endorsing Atiku. Then, of course, Buhari, Saraki, Dogara, Otamon, Senator Waku. That's on page 35. 2019, fear of defeat driving opposition to discredit polls, and that's credited to FG. Quick reaction from you.
Very quick one. 71 ex-generals once again call the president's area of first area of constituency. So what you're having is in the couple of days that are leading to the general elections, different endorsements. We had Afinifre, we had Ohanezi, and a few others come out and endorse. So now you're having 71 ex-generals. It's all to add credibility to their preferred candidates. All to add credibility to their preferred candidate and sway as much votes as possible, because these are the people who are perceived to be the leaders, people who have the ears of the people. So when they endorse, it's believed that the people should naturally follow their voice. But then again, I sense that this is one election that is very, very important to Nigerians, because it has to do with their stomachs, their pockets, and the economy. So it's very important for them.
But then we're moving on swiftly to the Nation newspaper, and the major headline on the Nation this morning is APC, PDP step up attacks. And the writers, government opposition raises 10-man team in bid to discredit polls. As well, PDP accuses ruling party INEC of plotting to rig elections. And beside that, CCT insists on Onogen's appearance. Above the masthead, Obanikoro, no record of ex-NSA cash for Faishe, and that's on page 40. Atiku paid his way into U.S., says a report. Find that story on page 10 on the Nation newspaper. AIB concludes crash probe, and that's on page 5. Army won't allow poll disruption on page 2. Oil hit $64 on Venezuela crisis, and that's on page 11. Body found in Salah's plane. That's sports news. React to any that you would like to.
I want to pick on the army now. Yesterday, the army general, the army chief of army staff came out and said that specifically IPOB, that the Biafran sectional people, that they need to clamp down on them because that they may be a danger to the upcoming elections. Once again, you look at the newspapers, front burners, most of them are about the elections. Now, coming out 2 weeks to say that you want to clamp down on them. Now, if I reside in a particular area, and you say you want to clamp down on people who are in that area, what you're trying to tell me is that there's some kind of perceived violence. So you are saying that you need to put security there. But there's also a fear of electoral apathy in terms of how close such an order is coming. So I think at this point in time that every party will need to be a bit more careful with the way they handle it. It's good to keep peace, but at the same time you need to also be a bit cautious in how you handle such situations so that it doesn't send out the wrong signals. Yeah.
Absolutely. And now New Telegraph newspaper, and what's the cover story? Polls, Army chief orders clamp down on IPOB. And what the writer says, foreign conspirators plotting to disrupt elections. 71 ex-generals, military governors endorse Buhari. Appeal court clears Rivers APC to failed candidates. Find that story on page 2 and 12. Above the masthead, borough fees. Nobody can stop me in Ondo North. Abayomi, after 8 years, your time is up. And to the bottom of the page, on Noggin, CCT chair, SAN in war of words. Umar, you are employing delay tactics. Awomolo, that's an insult. Find that on page 4. And we also have the story at the bottom running through. Obesity increases risk of higher cancer rates in younger people. Of course, we know that yesterday, February 4th, was World Cancer Day. Now, which of the stories would you like to?
I want to look at the CCT story because it's actually at the nexus of our nation's expectations in terms of the area of administration of justice, because what you are seeing now is a supremacy sort of battle. The CCT is saying, you know what, the Chief Justice, the now suspended Chief Justice must appear before us. But the body of lawyers who are coming as his defenders, so to say, have said to him, are saying to the CCT that no, they want to do this the way that it has been prescribed. Let's take it back to the NJC. NJC is listening to this case. So we think that it should go back to NJC. So we want you to adjourn so the NJC can look into it. And, you know, this is what they have always said that should have been done right from the first word get-go.
That's due process.
Yeah, due process. Mm-hmm. And now, but there's also there's also a bit of a story coming out where 20 lawyers have said, you know what, they come together, they said they want to look at how they can contain this situation because they're looking at it as a major embarrassment to the entire profession and to the body itself. So these are all scenarios playing out. They are trying to, while CCT on one hand is trying to say we want to prosecute, want to bring him in. He's just like every other normal individual. The lawyers are saying to themselves...
So where is all of this going?
Well, where all of this is going is that they are trying to, in my own opinion, they are trying to protect that profession. They are trying to say that due process should be put in place.
So it is beyond the CJN?
Absolutely beyond the CJN. It's absolutely beyond the CJN.
Okay, now this is the Daily Sun newspaper, and the cover story is Onogen. Expectedly, trial must continue, and that's according to the CCT, where the writer insists suspended CJN has to appear. Already you reacted to that. Yeah. Just beside the masthead, we have the story Buratai, Army Chief, others clamp down on IPOB. Find a story on page 12. And below that, we have 2019 Nigeria votes 11 days to February 16. Well, the anticipated day. Of course, we have Obi Abaje Sheikh Lagos market as bid to stop campaign fails. Find that story on page 6 and 40. As well, Nigerians in US adopt Atiku. And to the other side of that, just below the masthead, retired generals endorse Buhari. Igbo World Union kicks over Atiku's adoption. I believe that's the adoption by Ohaneze.
Yeah.
And let's go to the back cover of the Daily Sun newspaper. We have the story, election campaigns, truth-telling or propaganda. Well, that's an opinion piece. Which of them would you like to?
To be fair with you, I think that's very, very interesting. That particular back page election campaigns story, because this is what we are faced with in 11 days to the elections, and we've had successive campaigns come out and give us different kinds of stories. But the point is, we're at the point where Nigerians are beginning to ask now that, are you better off then than now? And that's what the story is telling you. Truth telling or propaganda. The promises that were made, have they been met? Or have you made them halfway? Or were they just promises that were made to get their vote?
You're welcome back to Off the Press on Plus TV Africa, and at this point we're about to look at the sports newspaper for this morning, and I'm joined by Plus TV sports correspondent Udoka Njoku. Thanks for joining me, Udoka.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, we have complete sport, and the cover story on the paper is Borough Boss hails top quality Mikel as Eagles keeper renews quest for 4th FA Cup, and below that we have Mbappe ready to face United, and that's on UEFA Champions League. Now, Udoka, can you react to some of these interesting ones?
Well, for Mikel Obi, you know, he played at some point in England, played for Chelsea and moved over to China, where he played in the Chinese Super League. He's back in England but plays in the Championship now for Middlesbrough. And after their game on over the weekend, the Borough fans eventually fell in love with Nigeria Super Eagles captain John Mikel Obi. They all love his style of playing football, and they believe that he's the one to take the club to the next level. So the boss also hailing Mikel Obi and looking forward to their FA Cup clash later today, and expecting that they'll get a victory in that one. And for Mbappe, he's of course talking about the Champions League, which will be coming up next week. Paris Saint-Germain against Manchester United. He's been positive and hoping for a good result against Manchester United, hoping that they get all 3 points and of course an advantage getting into the second leg of that encounter. So lots of interesting stories, and I know we do not have time to
so I would have loved to take you up on some of these other stories, but thank you so much, Udoka, for joining me on the program this morning, and thank you so much as well for watching. Off the Press returns tomorrow at exactly 8:30 a.m. I'm Ify Aronu. Have a pleasant day.